Hello, this is Cliff Brock with World Travel Plus. We search out the places that the travel brochures and the travel agents don't tell you about so you don't have to. Join us today to see where we wandered next. Hello, I'm Cliff Brock for World Travel Plus. Today, we're at the Sponge Docks, the world famous Sponge Docks in Tarpon Springs, Florida. This little part of Florida is a real anomaly. It's a little bit of Greece right here in the United States. The sponge divers came from Key West in 1905. The sponges had gotten pretty thin there and they came up here to begin harvesting the sponges in this part of Florida. They've been here since and form an integral part of the culture in Tarpon Springs, Florida.
Tarpon Springs has evolved quite a bit since 1905 when sponge divers first started harvesting sponges. As time went on, the sponge harvest grew thinner, but by 1920, sponge harvesting was the biggest industry in Florida. Unfortunately, red tide reduced the sponges maybe in the 30s or so, and new sponges were planted. It's still a vibrant industry, but what really drives the sponge docks today is tourism. No really accurate figures are available for the number of tourists per year, but it runs, I'm certain, into the tens of thousands. There are a wide variety of shops along the 4 or 5 block stretch that are the sponge docks. The shopping district has started to expand. It's gone up Athens Street and a couple of the other side streets. It draws people who just want to go and have an ethnically flavored visit in a different kind of place. You can buy souvenirs from Greece when in fact you haven't been to Greece. You can enjoy the sound of a different language. You'll hear lots of laughter. The Greek people tend to be very welcoming. Among the locals, there is a good bit of banter and teasing of the Greeks about the Greek influence, but it's widely accepted, and Greeks widely accept outsiders. One of the delights of Tarpon Springs is enjoying a good meal. There are a variety of good restaurants right on the sponge docks. Dimitri's on the dock. Hilaz is across the street, but it has a wonderful desserts gallery that you can buy goodies to take home or enjoy in the restaurant. One of the most iconic restaurants in town is called Rusty Bellies. It's down at the end of the sponge docks and offers very, very fresh seafood, much of it caught by Jack Russell, the restaurant owner, and his wife Julie's fishing boat. The Julianne goes out and catches a good bit of what's served in the restaurant.
Tarpon Springs is a town of boaters. For a little town of only 25,000, you'll see boats everywhere in people's yards, driveways, in the marinas. The Tarpon Springs Marina provides docking downtown for people who want to have a meal and enjoy the city.
It's fun to walk along the sponge docks and just look at the boats on, this is the Anclote River. There's a large yacht manufacturer, Stay Mats, that operates out of Tarpon Springs, offers beautiful luxury yachts, but mostly what you see are families. They'll be on pontoon boats, they'll be on flats boats headed out to fish in the intercoastal, a little bit of fishing at the mouth of the river, and for the adventurous to be able to go out on the Gulf. A walk along the sponge docks provides a look at a very wide variety of boats. You can see everything from the large commercial fishing boats, especially down toward the mouth of the river end of the sponge docks. Jack and Julie Russell run a couple of big commercial fishing operations, and in fact their family runs the Pelican Point Fish Market, where you can get very, very fresh seafood. And the restaurant next door, Rusty Bellies, where a good bit of the fish and seafood served is in fact caught on the Julianne and served in the restaurant. But the boats are pretty diverse. You can see sponge boats that have very big commercial outriggers on them, all the way down to what could almost be a skiff with a couple of riggings that will let them harvest some sponges. It's a family sort of orientation in this Sponge Docks area. Most of these people have been doing this for a very, very long time, and everyone seems to know everyone else. Tarpon Springs is only a town of about 25,000, and people tend to be out frequently. Another video looked at First Friday in the downtown area, and they also periodically in the Sponge Docks area have what's called Night in the Islands. The sponge divers largely came from Larnaca in Greece, but also from Kalymnos, Halki, and Simi islands in Greece. And so Night in the Islands provides an opportunity to have a look at what's going on. Again, good food, good friends, some drink, and always water everywhere. Most people come to the Sponge Docks, obviously, to find out about sponges. They, at the right time, you can see the sponge boats come in, and they'll have the dark sponges. And the way you know that you've got a raw sponge that has not been through the cleaning process is that it's raw. The city also maintains an actual sponge fishing boat. It's anchored. It does not go out anymore. It's purely for display. It's called the Tarpon Springs. It's wonderfully maintained, makes a great photo opportunity, and it's a beautiful boat to look at. Sponge divers go down from 10 to 60 feet to harvest the sponges. They bring them back up in nets, and they're on about 30 days, and the sponges are dirty and they have to be cleaned. Most sponges today are exported internationally. Today, about a dozen or so boats go out and do the sponge harvest. Interestingly enough, only 2 of those boats are Greek-owned. When we think of the Sponge Docks, we think of Greeks. But many of the captains today are not Greek by heritage. We talked to one of them.
Are you all finished with the sponge harvest for this year?
I am, yes.
Jeff, the sponge season is over now?
Yes, for me it is. Some boats do go out in the wintertime, but not this boat.
What's the hardest part of sponging?
I would say cleaning sponge and being out there in very rough weather. And most of the time you stay out there. You don't come running home because sometimes the bad weather only lasts a day, sometimes 2 or 3. So you sit it out.
But I understand the weather comes up in this Gulf very quickly.
Oh yeah, it gets very violent out there very quickly.
Have you ever gotten caught in a bad storm out there?
Oh, I've gotten caught in over 37 years. I've gotten caught in your pants storms. Okay.
Oh my word.
Yes, and I literally.
You remember when Irma came through and Jack Russell and his partner were out there and they got caught, and Eddie, I can't remember, Jorgensen I think was his name, lost his first mate.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Would you do this again if you were starting over?
Absolutely.
Really enjoy it?
Yeah, I'm a contractor as well. And in the wintertime, I usually do contracts. I don't anymore. I got my own projects to keep me busy, but this is the only job that I've ever loved, sponging. And I've done many things. I've worn many hats, but no, this is it. And it's mostly the diving. You know, you fall in love with the diving. Not everything about sponging is perfect, but it sure beats being out in the hot sun all day. So.
you get your natural air conditioning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And what kind of crew do you run? You don't do this by yourself.
No. I have a crew of 2 divers and 1 deckhand. That's including myself. So we go out with 3 people.
And this season is June to September or something?
There's really no season, but the good weather starts in about May and then ends in October, depending on the year. And that's what a lot of these bigger boats wait for. I mean, they wait for the weather to get nice because they do longer trips. I do 30 days out there at a time. You
go out for 30 days
30
and
days
don't
at a
come
time.
home?
Don't come home. Now we will port every once in a while to resupply. But other than that, we stay out there for 30 days.
How far out do you go?
It all depends. We can be right out here by the island, or we can be 120 miles up north. So it all depends on what you're looking for and what the buyers are paying for. We chase the market. We don't chase sponge, we chase the market. If they want this, we go get that. If they want this, we go get that.
So they're, and I'm gonna have to make up the names, but like barrel sponges and pin sponges, and they're in different places?
No, they are and they're not. I mean, you can get on hard bottom out there where all of them are there. Or you can go to, let's say, shallow water where only one variety grows. But no, I would say they're not all together, but yes, they are.
Is it the water, or what causes it only to be in Cuba? Where did you say Cuba?
Cuba, Key West, here, and in the Mediterranean. Most of the time, it's just fresh water. It's biodiverse. We've got rivers, freshwater rivers all the way up the coast. Where there's a river, that area where it discharges into the Gulf is very biodiverse, and you'll find a lot of sponge in there. So it's the brackish water that grows organisms, attracts them, and sponge live on organisms.
Now this is a dumb question. Do sponges live in freshwater, saltwater, or brackish?
There may be freshwater sponge. I'm not aware of any. No commercial
So
sponge.
where they actually live is saltwater. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Captain Jeff. I know lots more about sponges now. Well, all this talk about sponges and sponge diving and cleaning them and the hard work that goes with it has made me hungry. I think I'll go up the street to Hellas, a landmark restaurant in town, and see what's going on there and what more we can learn about Tarpon Springs and the sponge docks. Let's go and talk to somebody at the
Tell
restaurant.
me a little bit about the sponge docks and Hellas place in the sponge docks, and how long you've been here, and fill us in a little bit.
Well, the sponge docks, Greeks migrated back in the turn of the century, knowing that there were sponges out in the Gulf of Mexico, and so islanders from Greece came along, and so since the turn of the century, that's when the sponge industry's been booming, actually.
And there were basically, as I remember, 4 islands that were involved in that.
Yeah, I believe there are 4. I know that it is Kalinos, Simi, Hio, I think, and I'm not sure of the other one. There's one more. There's so many Greek islands. So.
And in 1905, the sponge divers came up from Key West and began to harvest the sponges differently.
Well, they brought them first here, and then they went to Key West.
Oh, I've got the history back.
From the Greek, yes. And then I've been in Tarpon Springs for over 50 years. You know, and Hellas is a cornerstone of the sponge docks itself. You know, with the most authentic food and things like that.
What's it like to work at the sponge docks? This is sort of a unique place in the United States. What's it like here?
Well, it's the most cultured Greek community in the country. For the demographics of population, to the size of how many Greeks are in the area, Greeks and Greeks Americans. But yeah, it's wonderful. Everybody's like family down here.
Do you know how many people come to the sponge docks each year?
A lot.
A lot, I know. Every time I try to drive down to Rusty Bellies or come here or wherever.
Yeah, it's like coming to Greece. It's like going to Greece without going there. You know what I mean? It's as closest to Greece as you're going to get with the food, the culture, you know, the ambiance.
And how long has Hellas been at this spot?
Well, they were established in 1970.
Okay.
You know, but they got to this location in the early to mid 80s.
Okay.
I've been with them for 32 years, 30 some odd years.
Yeah. And you've lived here 50.
Yeah.
What's it like to live in Tarpon Springs?
Oh, I'm still here, so it's wonderful.
What do you like about it?
What do I like? I like the culture. I like just everything about it. Just the lifestyle, you know.
My wife and I are not of Greek origin, but part of the reason we moved to Tarpon Springs was that Greek influence.
Right.
It's like you live in a little bit of Europe and you're still in the United States.
Correct. Exactly. That's what I like about it.
Been here 50 years. What has changed over that 50 years at the sponge docks?
Believe it or not, nothing really. All the buildings are the same. I mean, a business might come, a business might go, but not very few and far in between.
What's the most faraway person you had come into the restaurant in the time you've been here?
The most faraway person from what country? Oh, I've had people from Australia and New Zealand through here. I would think that would be the most furthest away. I've had people from Japan come in here, and yeah, we've had people from Japan, Korea, and his flow.
My impression, we've been here about 10 years. My impression of the docks is it's pretty much a big family. Is that
That's
correct?
exactly, yeah, absolutely. Everybody knows everybody, you know, and then everybody helps everybody as needed.
Greeks are noted for their pastries, but since coming to Tarpon Springs and visiting this wonderful little area, we've discovered that there are a lot more treats than just baklava. We've enjoyed our day on the Sponge Docks, and we hope you've enjoyed visiting them with us. This is Cliff Brock for World Travel Plus. Please come back often and see where in the world we've visited next. Be sure to click a like and subscribe.